I'd like to preface this by saying one thing. I'm not a drama YouTuber. I'm not a commentary channel. I'm just a dude online trying to draw and write and work on indie games. I use this YouTube as a backup place for recordings of me and my friends' tabletop games, and also sometimes video game OSTs. Twitter drama is something that I'm not really involved in, and I usually only learn about it through osmosis, so the fact that I'm making this video is interesting. The reason why is because this drama just astounds me. It's been some degree of ongoing for the past 9 months, and it's been a tug-of-war of one side being more liked than the other, one being the public correct one to be a fan of, back and forth, and a lot of people are saying this and that with nothing actually being done. And I want this thing to end. I'm tired of seeing it. And I know that both of the actual parties involved in the drama are tired of seeing it. So I'm making this video to put a bunch of info in one place, tackle it all, make a definite documentary, even have some input from the drama or one of the sides of the drama themselves. This is your one-stop to learn all you need about the very good, no bad, awful 500-page callout and its ensuing fallout. I'm not here to be dragged into this as a party, mind you. I'm not here to be some rant Sona-haver who chimes in with a funny quip here or there. Ultimately, I'm just someone who's sick of this shit from both sides to various degrees, and I want to help it all come to some kind of neatly tied-up ending. And you may ask yourself why. It's none of your business. And yeah, you'd be right. But I've got a big, stupid, bleeding heart. One side of this drama is a mentally ill minor who got exposed to thousands of online eyes with no warning, and the other is a mentally ill person who got exposed to the same. My mentally ill ass cares. Nobody should be going through this, not to this degree, and it should never have been started. So I decided I would make something that could potentially help end it. Besides, it was none of Izzy's business, or just a robot's business either. It was never the drama channel's business. If those fuckers can exploit internet drama like this for clout, I can make a video on it too. And I don't even use this channel for content. It's completely separate from where I want to actually make real content someday. This is here to be informative, and I don't want to hear anyone telling me that it's something otherwise. So with the preamble out of the way, welcome to hell. This video is going to have timestamps in the description to various parts of the video, such as the timeline of events, the brief discussions of unrelated parties who decided to become involved, and the interviews I conducted with this video. Let's start with the timeline. In October 2020, 2 members of the GlitchTex fandom on Twitter had a falling out. One member was Kez, an at the time 13-year-old fan, and the other was Mari, a 26-year-old fan. The two of them had a falling out over the fact that Kez, a minor, had run into what was believed to be untagged NSFW content of 2 of the minor characters of GlitchTex. Kez, meanwhile, defended the fic author and the fic itself, and thusly the falling out happened, the two blocked each other, and seemed to move on. Kez would tweet about Mari and the absurdity of the situation, with varying degrees of rudeness, though Kez was blocked, so this should not have been seen by Mari in any capacity. This is where the drama should have ended. However, famously, on Christmas Day, December 2020, Mari released a 500-plus page call-out post on Kez. This call-out includes many, many screen caps, much of which increase the size of the document due to their size, as well as recordings of Kez's voice, and a threat to take potential legal action, though Mari insists she never actually would have done that. The information is still in the document. Mari got attention on Twitter for this, due to the absurd size of the callout, as well as its contents. Many people think that a 26-year-old making 500 pages of a callout on a 13-year-old over a shipping disagreement is fairly ludicrous. And on the flip side, all eyes were suddenly on Kez, who at the time was called Cal. The callout revealed a lot of information about them, including all of their socials, and their voice, though that was publicly available information. Kez gained a lot of supporters and harassers very swiftly, and alongside this, Mari repeatedly tried to establish contact with Kez, as evidenced by multiple screenshots. Kez was uncomfortable with Mari and wanted to be left alone, though would sometimes tweet their annoyance and dislike of Mari on their Twitter. Mari was driven off the internet, shamed for her actions. Enter Izzy, Luke, J-Hedgie, and Rediradical. Izzy and Luke are both drama YouTubers who did videos covering the callout document and thusly slammed Mari through their videos while supporting Kez. Following this, J-Hedgie makes a video about how Kez is actually more at fault than Mari, a bold move. Rediradical, meanwhile, makes no videos, but starts commenting against Kez on videos related to the drama and starts tweeting almost exclusively about them. This is in February 2021. Following J-Hedgie's video, Kez once more gets eyes on them, due to the fact that they tweet to people telling them to report J-Hedgie's video due to its potential to incite further harassment. People on Twitter flock to J-Hedgie's Twitter and video, reporting and commenting about how wrong it is. J-Hedgie makes a follow-up covering the Twitter drama that came to him. This is March 2021. Alongside this, in private, Kez messages Luke, asking Luke to take down the video in support of Kez, due to the fact that it also has the potential to reignite the drama and get eyes back on them. Throughout all of this, Rediradical continues to tweet in response to most of Kez's Twitter, or anything that Kez tweets that is personal or even vaguely related to the drama. Kez, meanwhile, tweets minimally about the drama, and how it affected them, though sometimes takes on a rude tone against those who were against them, such as Mari or J-Hedgie. Alongside this, Mari tries and fails to contact Kez and reinsert herself into Kez's social circle, despite everything. For a while, things are quiet, at least on the video side of things. Some Twitter users, namely Rediradical, still continue to obsessively tweet about Kez, but most people have moved on, and Kez's tweets here and there were about how the situation harmed them, and how they hate the people who put them through the drama. We now cut to June 2021. Minty, a Fujoshi YouTuber, makes a video called The Vindication of Mari Akutsu, thusly reigniting the drama. The video is about how Kez was actually to blame for everything. Mari was in the right, and Minty was the one who told Mari to create a call-out in the first place. This returns the old drama to the eyes of the public, including putting it in the sights of Just a Robot, a prominent drama commentary channel known for his edgy humor and prior allegations of bigotry. Upon reading into the situation, he makes his own video, which returns many eyes at once to the drama. Following Jar's initial video, YouTubers Izzy and Luke retract their own commentary videos on the situation, and user Definitely Bored Oranges makes a video against Kez. On Twitter, Kez tells people to report the Jar video for potentially reigniting harassment against them. Rediradical, who still has eyes into Kez's private Twitter, starts hate tweeting about them in regards to the situation once more. During the time of the Jar video, somehow, someone anonymous but close to Kez leaks screenshots of private DMs of Kez's, which will be discussed later. Rediradical spreads them, tweets about them, and retweets people sending them to Kez. I will not go further into detail now, as the contents are triggering, but I will need to let people know. These DMs are sexual in nature and in relation to Kez, who is a minor. A few days ago, Jar released a follow-up video on the first Kez and Mari drama video. And more recently, Mari herself released a video explaining her side of the situation, claiming that she was stalked by Kez and that she is the true victim. I'm not going to get into every single video speaking for or against Kez and or Mari. I'm going to be talking about a small amount of the points made against either side. However, before this, I'm going to share with you all an interview that I had with Kez in regards to the drama. I made the same offer to have an interview with Mari. However, upon asking Mari if I could have an interview, she swiftly blocked me. Unfortunately, this means that I really only have words from one side of the story and not the other, and this video cannot be as fully unbiased as I want it to be due to this. I try my best to keep my personal opinions out of things until the point where I openly admit to talking about things from an opinionated perspective, but having a lack of Mari's own words to go by, apart from the video that Mari made, is going to make this a little more difficult. However, I believe that Kez's words have value, and that they should be kept here, even if I couldn't get an interview with Mari. So without further ado, here's the interview I had with Kez, addressing multiple issues brought up against them by their detractors. So, hi. Alright, this is gonna be interesting. Welcome. This shouldn't take too long. I appreciate you taking the time for this, and I want to let you know up front, if any of these questions end up uncomfortable to answer, or if you need extra time to answer them, just let me know.
That's understandable, thank you.
So, the first question that I had is a pretty simple one. How did you and Mari meet?
I I really don't remember it much since I kind of just pushed it to the back of my head. But what the most prominent thing I could remember was, I was on Glitchcord, which is this super popular glitch tech server, which wasn't the best, but it was like it was a fandom space for me to talk about my fixation. Um, so I met Mari on there. She was an artist or something. From what I remember, I think I asked to see a piece of art that she did that was like some gore trypophobia thing with Miko. And from there, we kind of just started talking. I was, a little dumbass back then, and I thought Mari was sincere. I could trust her. She seemed like a trusting, sincere person, but boy, was I wrong. So that's basically what happened from my memory. Mari can say otherwise, but it's what I remember.
All right. Prior to the call out, what were things like between you and Mari? I remember Mari talked a bit about specifically the event that made you know, her seem basically how you saw her changed after she publicly, from what I recall, she publicly tweeted in defense of someone who posted NSFW on Tumblr. Is that about accurate?
So So the argument about the NSFW was that I found a NSFW glitch text fanfic that which was by the way was untagged and it was tagged with lemon, an outdated term that no one uses. So of course I didn't understand it. Next thing you know, I start feeling uncomfortable, yada yada yada. Mari comes in my comments like, dude, we talked about this. You shouldn't have done this. And yeah, I shouldn't have posted the stuff for minors because minors could see it. But then again, I did properly tag it so people could go with caution. And the argument stemmed from there. Mari defended it. She blocked me. I blocked her. Da da da. And then after that, I lived in peace. Me and my friend did like a Mari receipts account or something since she was kind of on me. Mari thought that I was the one running that account, but it was actually another friend of mine, which I will not name. So there.
All right. Um, so this is a long question. I had to edit it a bit to add to it for reasons that I won't elaborate on right now.
All right.
People have claimed that you disliking a ship between a minor and an adult was not grounds to dislike Mari herself. Alongside this, some people claim that people liking fictional minors in romantic and sexual ways does not count as pedophilia, and use this claim to defend Mari. Can you share if and why you disagree with this? Why you feel that this shit making you uncomfortable was grounds to hate her, etc., etc.
All right, so this whole thing stems from like the anti-pro ship discourse, and I'm just gonna say I don't identify as an anti or a fucking pro shipper. I just identify as a normal fucking person. The only reason why I don't like fictional adults lusting over fictional minors and stuff because it may be pedophilic in a sense, but I don't know. It's really suspicious because there's no way that should be like 20 sipping over fucking Bakugo from My Hero Academia, drawing an SFW of him, and this goes for many other fictional characters. I'm just using him as an example. It's very alarming because I'm pretty sure if you were to be in real life, oh hey, I'm 30 and I like to draw porn of this little kid, that would be something, and that would definitely be alarming. I promise you that I promise you that if someone were to see this in real life or were to hear about it, they would be disgusted. It pretty much limited to their little echo chamber. So I don't understand why people are excusing that actually. It's not about morals, it's just about hey, it's fucking weird. You shouldn't do this. Minor or not, you should not age up a minor to just solely to draw porn of them. That's fucking weird. That's just my personal opinion, but yeah.
All right. Um, can you? This was already covered in the other question, but I'm gonna say the question anyway. Can you tell me a bit more about the fanfic, how you found it, etc., and clarify again that it was on Tumblr because some people like to claim that it was on AO3 that you found it and use the argument that AO3 is quote unquote an adult oriented site, which can be debated.
So
However, I want to clarify for viewers that if we are going by the argument that because AO3 allows adult content, that it is an adult-oriented site, we will also go by the argument that Tumblr is a children-oriented site due to its banning of such content.
So that AO3 fic was actually not the fanfic that I found in the first place. That was Mari's definitely questionable fanfiction. So I already covered it in the first question, but basically I was on Tumblr looking for glitch text content, and I'm gonna say this right now. Glitch text is not a kid show up for debate. It's TVY7. You can take 3 seconds to hit up Netflix or IMDb to see if it's TVY7, a show targeted towards 7-year-olds. So tags that are for kids fandoms should presume to be safe. So I was looking for content. I ended up stumbling across it unwarranted because, it was tagged with glitch text and it was also tagged with lemon. So I ended up finding it. Of course, I was downright disgusted because I did not want to see fucking porn of that. And next thing you know, I expressed my discomfort. Mari then comes back in the comments arguing, like, dude, what the fuck? We talked about this. Just ignore it. Shut up. Basically, we have an argument or something. She's very weird. She accuses me of white knighting and trying to save Five, telling me that I'm protective. I'm trying to diss fucking 5x Mitch shippers or ZaraX5 shippers. It wasn't about shipping in the first place. It was me being uncomfortable with content in the fandom that I was fixated on. So
Yes, and again, I'm going to clarify that, again, a lot of people on Mari's side, including Mari herself, have said that because AO3 is an adult-oriented site, that people shouldn't get uncomfortable with ships with a fic on that site. But the fic was found on Tumblr, and going by that logic, Tumblr is a 13 and older site, and it has specifically banned adult content. So, going by that logic, I'm going to say that yes, you should not have found any content like that on the site, and finding it at all, regardless of the lemon tag, was unfair, and it is unfair to hold you to the standard of saying that you should not have been uncomfortable with that. But moving on. People believe that you trying to take down videos speaking against you in the drama was an attempt at censorship and false flagging. Can you explain why you wanted those videos taken down?
the only reason why I wanted those videos taken down because they were putting me and my safety at risk. I personally did not want to deal with an inbox of hate messages and this and that. Like, oh, you're the monster. You're the one who doxed Mari. You're the harasser, actually. Fuck you. This is about sides. Mari. And then you have adults that are like fucking in their 20s holding me to the same standard as a 26-year-old, comparing me to her. I'm not using my age as an excuse, obviously, but it's still fucked up. And it wasn't for censorship, it was all for safety reasons because I was already dealing with more stuff and I did not want that. I personally did not want that extra load of issues on me. I so the videos that I'm just gonna explain the videos that were made about me, from like Prismate Luke or Izzy is the I personally DM'd Luke to ask him if he could take the videos down for safety reasons. He kind of budged, but with a bit of talking and talking and consideration, he unlisted them, privated them. Izzy has ended up taking her video down on old terms, and that was basically it.
Okay. In relation to something you brought up, which was the accusation of doxing, people claim that you doxed Mari by showing her public Facebook. People also claimed that Mari doxed you by sharing your public accounts. Do you currently believe any doxing actually happened at all between you or Mari?
I currently believe that Mari didn't dox me, but she did express the intent to, and if she was given further information, she probably would have acted on it. So I've posted my face before. I posted my voice. That was like super old post that dated to 2020. Mari went back to dig as far. She dug for them. She had a 30-minute screen recording from when the document was first released of her scrolling through my profile, showing my face, showing the voice clips. She kept backups of it in folders or something just in case if anything happened. She she threatened to sue me. She held the false threat of suing me above my head. And she's like, before you say anything, I'm not going to sue you, but why include that in the first place if you weren't going to do it? She threatened me saying, be lucky I don't even want to find out your name so I won't contact your parents or your mom, da 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 da. And I worry that, if she got any further content or something, she would have doxed me. She would have tried to seek out my personal information and used it for personal gain against me.
That's an understandable fear. Um, some people have said that you not watching the videos against you and instead having trusted friends relay the video information back to you is an act of cowardice or ignorance. Can you explain why you didn't watch videos like Minty's or Jar's for a little while? I don't know if you've watched them yet, but from what I know, you hadn't watched a few of the videos.
I have not watched Minty or Jar's videos because they were mostly misinformation and stuff, and they revealed very personal things about me. Might as well just spreading plain lies. And it was very obvious that they were teetering more toward Mari's side in terms of like, what's the word? Not favoritism, but by the bias. So in some videos that were talking about me, some people claim to be unbiased, but it was very obvious they were teetering towards Mari's side instead of mine, instead of being truly unbiased, because that's what a bias is, no bias towards a certain group of people. Because if it's just towards one person, it's obviously not a bias. And I didn't want to sit through 30 minutes of videos of just adults down talking me. I've been dead named, I've been misgendered, all the works and whatever, having plain lies spread about me as well as my personal messages. And I just didn't want to go through that. I felt like it would be better for me and my mental health if I had just a friend watch it and relay it back to me, because I don't want to put myself through that anguish.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Um, Speaking of those DMs, and this question might be hard, please let me know. But during the
I'll
drama,
try.
during the drama, sexual private DMs and one public suggestive joke made by you were leaked to the public. People have used these to say that you are, quote unquote, a hypocrite for having ever had sexual thoughts about the character Five. If you are comfortable clarifying the situation, I'd like some context regarding them. I will clarify what I know about the situation. The DMs were private with friends, and they were, by your own public admittance, the result of hypersexual episodes. And for for future viewers who do not know what hypersexual means, being hypersexual is uncontrollable sexual thoughts in regards to or as a result of trauma that the thinker has been through. If you are willing to share more, please go ahead.
So, yeah, those DMs. Most of the DMs that you saw were personal, and one was a public joke that was obviously posted. My friend posted that joke and made the meme, and I, of course, very dumbly laughed along at it. But those episodes were personal. They were personal. They were personal for a reason. You can tell that they dug because it was back in September 2020. I'm going to say one thing. I may be hypersexual, but I choose to keep my thoughts and just with my friends, personal friends, friends around my age, because there is no way in hell that I am going to put myself out there and put myself in a position where I could get taken advantage of online. I'm not posting it on Twitter or something, because there's no way I'm going to let myself get taken advantage of like a fucking adult or something. And also, no adult wants to hear a fucking 14-year-old talking about sexual things, so I obviously keep it between my close friends. The person who, got those DMs, I think was a close friend of mine that I probably trusted that, betrayed my trust. So it kind of sucked because I choose to share it with my close friends because, they won't treat me as icky and weird and all of this. But yeah.
I Obviously, it is a huge breach to ask what the trauma was, and nobody needs to know that, so I'm going to quash that before anyone in the comments asks, oh, I don't believe that Kez has trauma unless they tell us what the trauma is. No, we believe outright.
I personally, I don't want to share the trauma because it's a sensitive topic that I don't want to get into.
Yeah, exactly, and I would not ask that of you. I did want to address specifically people. One name that I can think of that has done this is a very active participant in the drama on Twitter. Rediradical has said that you are a hypocrite for having ever had those thoughts. But from what I hear here, you're not a hypocrite. because you did not post those thoughts publicly. You did not publicly share how you felt. You kept things in private. You did not make any attempt to make it known that you were having those thoughts, and you did not put in a public space that you were sexualizing a minor. And alongside that, another thing that does not make you a hypocrite is that you are around the same age as the character that you were having the thoughts about. It is not the same as an
He
adult
is.
having those thoughts about the characters that you were having the thoughts about. This is just my personal opinion on it, but
And yeah, to butt in or something, the character is 1 year older to me, and there's a very obvious difference between, like a 14-year-old swooning over a 15-year-old, and I don't know, a fucking 26-year-old swooning over a 15-year-old. You can see the obvious difference, and you can see how weird it is if you compare it in some aspects.
yeah, that's part of the yeah, exactly. Um,
Yep.
Folks have claimed that you deserve harassment for a few reasons, such as the flagging of videos. None of those reasons are valid, but one of the reasons that is pretty prominent is you have told people to kill themselves or die in DMs due to the drama. Uh, do you currently still agree with these actions, and can you explain why they happened from your side?
I currently do not agree with his actions, and I admit that it was a bad decision on me to, lash out on their end. But dealing with the harassment, I've been dealing with cyber stalking by that Rediradical guy for 8 months. So I was about to snap basically, because I had to deal with every single fucking day having my single, my single and every move, every post, having every post analyzed or something to see if they could try to dig dirt on something that obviously fucking set me off. So Red joined Twitter. I believed he joined Twitter just to harass me. If you can go through his page, it's literally all posts about me from when he first joined to his last post. So me telling him to kill himself was obviously me lashing out and letting out my anger at him. And I do not agree with his actions. And I apologize if I've done that. It was horrible of me, and I definitely should not have done that. I do not agree with those actions.
All right. Uh, Last question. If you could say one thing to those who still speak against you via Twitter, YouTube, DMs, etc., if you could say one thing to the detractors who believe that you are more to blame, that you are the monster, that you caused this, what would you say?
This is gonna be pretty long, but I'm just going to say, I don't care. Just believe who you want. I just want you to hear my side, and I want you to hear Mari's. But also, even though just because like a few bad actions of mine have been leaked or something, that still doesn't make me the bad person. Sure, I'm just gonna plain out admit it. Me and Mari are both in the wrong. We've both done our fair share of actions that weren't the most savory or the best, but at point still stands. I'm the victim. At the end of the day, Mari was the one who harassed me and put me through all this turmoil. And also Minty was also the one who kind of influenced the actions of Mari writing the document, and thus, being a huge invasion of privacy, which still fucking hurted me to this day. And I'm tired. What I'm not gonna take here and stand is people motherfucking undermining me. I am not gonna have people undermine me, being like, "Oh, you didn't have trauma because of this, this and that." No, I've had to deal since October 2020 to this fucking day of me having to deal with my own personal shit. I had to deal with, the bits and pieces of Mari. I had fucking paranoia of her. I still have thoughts that, she's trying to come back and harass me or something. It's come to the point where I can't even trust my close friends anymore. And I start to feel anxious and stuff like what's gonna happen. I know something bad's gonna happen. It's just the fear that she's instilled into my mind, and the gaslighting that she's done to me is has fucking, fucked me over. I'm just gonna say this: believe who you want. It can be my side or hers. I don't care anymore. But please understand, I'm still the victim, and I'm not the monster. I'm not the one who doxed her. Mari was the one who put me through all this shit. I'm also the person. I'm going to admit that I may done some bad actions, but I'm willing to, actually take actual criticism instead of hate comments to grow from it. I want to grow as a person, and I want to be better. And also, this isn't about the both sides thing, but I definitely, there has been some actions that I need to, take account of and grow from it. So basic TLDR: believe who you want, but still, I'm the victim, regardless of the actions. Because if we put this on like a fucking perspective, Mari has done way more shit than me. She's basically invaded my privacy, tried to seek out the personal information, and she's done everything in her power to destroy me and rid me off the internet alongside many others, like Just a Robot, Rediradical, and many others that contributed to this. It Talking about this situation honestly is still a struggle for me. And I wanted to make jokes or something, but I've always had people shutting me down saying that, oh, you're just resuscitating the drama. It still pains me. It still pains me, and I've always just wanted to share it because it helps me get my mind off of things. Ugh, it's it's a lot, but yeah.
All right. Thank you for your time. I know
Sorry if
that.
it sounded like a lot.
No. It's perfectly
I'm sorry if it
reasonable.
sounded like a lot. I'm just really upset over this.
No, yeah, you have every right to be. I understand this was difficult to talk about, and I appreciate that you agreed to speak about it at all. Um,
And
hopefully.
also, I just want to add another.
Oh,
Also, I just want to add another thing.
yes?
I hate how Mari is treating this like some little stupid joke and undermining it as a trauma. She's tried to turn my friends against me and everything, and that's still what fucking sucks. You could see that she tried to do everything in her power to, get back at me or something. Like she's letting a teenager define her for her actions when she could have just blocked and move on. Like she said, she could have taken her own words of advice instead of still going out of my way to still fucking dead name me. And the thing that irks me is in the video, she was like, oh, Cal goes by Kez now or something, and then proceeded to dead name me the fucking entirety of the video when she could have just, edited it over or just added it or something. She's still addressing me by Cal, and it's very obvious that it's irking me. It's irking me. Fuck off. I can't form words right now, but that's just what makes me angry. My name is Kez. It's not Cal anymore. Please respect that. Don't don't be like, oh, I'm calling you Cal because that's what you're more known by. Respect my fucking name.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too, and further discussion of Mari's video will be happening in the video following this interview. Um, I appreciate the fact that you were willing to speak on this, and I hope this will be the last time you have to speak on this, genuinely. Thank you very, very much for your input, and hopefully, despite having to talk about this, you have a nice day.
Thank you. I'm managing through it. Thank you. I'll be taking my leave now. Bye.
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 I'd like to once again thank Kez for their time and their willingness to talk about a situation that has clearly been hard for them to handle. Going forward, I'm going to talk about a few of the issues that were brought up in that interview, and issues that were brought up against Kez by the detractors, such as Just a Robot and Minty. Alongside this, I'm going to bring up some issues brought up against Mari, issues that I was going to ask Mari about myself, but did not get the chance to. Again, I do not know why Mari blocked me. It could be that I had, admittedly, spoken ill of Minty and Rediradical before this, and I will come out openly to say this. The first claim I'd like to address is one made by Mari herself, that the only reason Kez got so involved in this was because Kez had a personal obsession with the character of Five from Glitch Text, and that none of this had anything to do with their discomfort as a minor, but instead their obsession with a fictional character. As of now, all proof points to this not being the case. Kez has made a valid argument about why the sight of minor ex-adult content, including NSFW content of such a thing, would have made them uncomfortable as a minor themselves, and their connection to Five may have just made them act more emotionally about the situation, but that does not mean that they quote-unquote wish to protect Five from anything. They have openly said that they see that Five is a fictional character, and that the issue is not with Five himself being involved, but with the fact that any fictional minor was sexualized in such a way. One of the accusations made against Mari is that Mari is a pro-shipper. In Mari's own words, I don't believe that she actually believes herself to be one, and the arguments between antis and pro-shippers is not what this video is about. However, I'm going to at least argue for the defense that Mari technically isn't a pro-shipper. Mari said herself that she is uncomfortable with the shipping of two characters who are a minor and an adult during the point where they are still minors and adults. And while aging up a minor character solely to ship them with an adult is still some degree of very weird and deserves examination, it itself is not what makes a pro-shipper, which many people could agree, pro-shipping involves a lot of the excusing of fictional pedophilia. Another very, very large accusation is that Kez was stalking Mari. Mari claims that Kez was stalking her prior to the callout, and this is due to tweets that Kez would make insulting or joking rudely about Mari, or the fact that Kez was in popular glitch text server Glitchcord, where Mari could not be there anymore due to Kez's presence. However, Mari also claims to have had them blocked, and only saw many of the tweets that Kez made, because Mari's social circle would follow Kez and show the tweets to Mari. And I hate to say this, but that doesn't count as stalking, and though Kez was in the wrong to be rude, it's hard to say that much of the tweets weren't easy to ignore. There are even other glitch text communities and discords that likely would have accepted Mari. As of the time of this recording, I was going to ask Mari if she could provide proof that prior to the callout, Kez was actually stalking her, such as block evading or private evading, in order to get Mari's private tweets and comment about them, instead of just being immature. But as you know, Mari refused the interview invitation, and no proof of actual cyberstalking has been presented. Now to talk about the thing that I really did not want to talk about, and I'm going to put a trigger warning right here that what I am about to discuss involves the sexual thoughts of an underage person. These should not have been shared at all, period. I'm going to go a little bit into opinion here, but seeing multiple adults flaunt the DMs of a minor, DMs that were made in private in regards to their personal sexual thoughts about a character, is honestly very disturbing. After having watched Mari's video, Mari herself pulls these up as a gotcha against Kez. But I'm going to reiterate what Kez said themselves. Most of these DMs were made during times of a trauma-induced hypersexual episode, sexual thoughts that are unable to be controlled by the haver. And even if they weren't, it is very disturbing to see multiple adults flaunt the sexual thoughts of, once more, a 14-year-old as a way to speak against them, as if 14-year-olds having sexual thoughts is something that they're not allowed to do. These DMs were never meant for the public, and the fact that the adults who are flaunting them around are acting as if they were meant for the public, and thusly can be used to criticize Kez having arguments against adults having public sexual thoughts about underage characters, it's simply not a good point. None of this proves anything against Kez that they think it does. It does not make Kez a hypocrite, and it does not make Kez a liar. I will admit up front that that portion of my statement is, to a degree, biased and opinionated. However, I don't think it's out of line for me, a fellow adult, to say that this is very uncomfortable and just not okay to have seen. In fact, I would say it's incredibly far out of line for someone to have revealed a person's private, sexual thoughts for the public to consume in general, let alone a minor. In regards to arguments against Mari, I have seen some people claim that Mari, quote-unquote, is being immature, not acting their age, etc. And while to some degree, yes, this is true, I think we all deserve to have the full context of Mari's mental state at the time that the document was made. Mari, according to her own words, had a family, specifically a father figure, that was trying to get her off her medication, as she is both depressed and, at the time, believed herself to have psychotic tendencies, but now specifically knows herself to be schizophrenic. This is not an excuse for her actions, but it does explain to some degree why she may or may not have been more obsessive over something as harmless, quote-unquote, as internet drama. Even if it was her responsibility as the adult to let this go and not start shit with a kid, it's not hard to understand why she might have not been in the right headspace at the time. Now I want to tackle the doxing accusations from both sides. Kez has already admitted that they do not think that Mari has doxed them, however believes that Mari would have doxed them if Mari had been able to find the information that they were searching for. However, Mari claims that Kez doxed her. The reason she believes this is that Kez shared screen caps of Mari's public Facebook. However, if we're going by the logic that Mari used to insist that she did not dox Kez, then by that logic, Kez did not dox Mari. Mari's Facebook was completely public information, very easy to find, clearly, and was not, hidden. It was not information that to any degree revealed truly, truly hard to find personal information about Mari. It was publicly available, just as publicly available as any username and anything that Mari revealed about Kez in her document. I know that it might have been scary to have the Facebook revealed, as Mari might not have realized that it was as easy to find as it was, but going by technicalities, Kez did not dox Mari, and Mari did not dox Kez. They both simply revealed publicly available information about each other's social media pages. The final thing I want to address is the statement made against both sides for them to, quote-unquote, let this go, that both sides have resuscitated the drama. I think to a degree this is a correct statement. Both sides have been involved in bringing the drama back to the public eye. Neither of them has, quote-unquote, let it go. However, I want to address the reasons, potentially, why they haven't. Kez has outspokenly said that this drama has, traumatized them. That they, as a child, were unready and unprepared for the eyes of thousands of people to be upon them, for the influx of harassment and hateful DMs and comments and tweets to be made about them. And, as a child, yes, this would be incredibly traumatizing to deal with. It's perfectly understandable why someone wouldn't want to let go of their trauma in that way. As for Mari, I stated earlier that Mari's mental state was not exactly the healthiest at the time the drama was going on, and while it's not, again, an excuse for her actions, it is to some degree an excuse for why she might have been unwilling and unable to let this go. And yeah, even though she's an adult, having a bunch of eyes, thousands of them even, making fun of you and insulting you and harassing you at all hours of the day could potentially also be traumatizing to her. It's a scary situation, and neither side necessarily has to quote-unquote let it go, but both sides could have handled the fallout significantly more maturely, especially Mari, in my honest opinion. However, it is entirely up to the viewer to decide which side you believe is more in the wrong or should have handled things better. This portion of the video is going to be dedicated to a walkthrough of the document itself. However, the document has long since been deleted, and finding an untampered, easy-to-access version of the document now is incredibly difficult. Plus, a lot of other people have already done so. It's not too hard to find videos discussing the document or tweet threads going through the document part by part, discussing why the parts are right or wrong. I know that there's one by specifically, I believe, Twitter user RabbitWooloo that is pretty popular and goes through a majority of the points made in the document. Currently, it would just be a waste of time for me to do so, and I honestly could not find an untampered version of the document to do a walkthrough through anyway. When the document did come out, however, I did read through most of it, and, my own opinions on the matter are not important. Hell, at this point, the document itself isn't really terribly important, so much as the drama and harassment that the document's existence incited. Regardless, I'm going to have links to that Twitter thread and a couple of other walkthroughs of the document that I could find in the description below. Now I'm going to tackle one last thing before I get to the conclusion portion of the video. I'm going to talk about Rediradical, a member of the drama who has kept it ongoing on Twitter for months, ever since the drama started. And I'm going to be honest, I think that Rediradical is a perfect example of what Mari believes Kez was before the call-out was made, which makes it pretty scary and pretty interesting to see that Mari not only is okay with Red, but has actively spoken on behalf of Red being a reliable source of why Mari is in the right. For the past months since the drama started, Rediradical has been making regular tweets about Kez, including evading the block that Kez gave him in order to post screen caps of Kez's tweets not meant for his eyes and respond to them accordingly, along with starting a hashtag using Kez's dead name in order to talk about how horrible of a person Kez is. I don't need to tell you that this is pretty obsessive behavior, but it gets even worse than that. During the time of the drama, Rediradical had gone into Kez's DMs and started arguing with them, to which they, as stated earlier, snapped and told him to kill himself, which he has used as ammunition against Kez ever since the drama started. And yes, this was not okay of Kez to do. However, they have also used the argument in order to spread lies about Kez, including saying that Kez sexually harassed and racially slurred Rediradical. I'm going to be completely upfront here. Red is a white person. I am also a white person. You may be wondering then, how Rediradical was racially slurred by Kez. I am going to show you screen caps, and hopefully they will explain the drama as well as they can, without me having to commentate over them too much. Alongside this, please keep in mind I tried to be very civil with Rediradical when we spoke in DMs, but he very swiftly blocked me when I tried explaining why things were not as he believed them to be. Hey, I wanted to ask some stuff about the Cal drama. Namely, you've lobbed some pretty serious accusations at them, and I personally find it difficult to know where and how to find proof of said claims. Specifically sexual harassment and racial slurs. Could you point me in the right direction? Well, I don't remember the sexual harassment part, but the racial slurs? Most definitely. Cal's done other awful things too, not just to me, but my friends. Where's the slurs? Vanilla Vulture, Mayo Martian. If that wasn't enough, Cal also told me to kill myself. Red, as a fellow white person? Those aren't fucking slurs. You cannot claim they have called you slurs when they have, at worst, slung playground insults at you. Do you have any idea how serious of an accusation racial slurs are? How the hell are they not slurs? They're being based on being used against white people. The suicide baiting, unacceptable, but that's not... Holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain to you why those don't count. They are, at worst, rude. Being called vanilla and mayo are not slurs because of a few reasons. Let me type them out. Funnily enough, Cal never actually said the C word. What C word? The C word that's actually a slur to whites. A racial slur counts as a slur if it is a term that has been actually used, historically, to oppress minorities socially and systematically. White people have not been oppressed and had slurs thrown at them in order to reinforce their oppression. Cracker? Yes. The rest of our conversation veers off into things that are not entirely relevant to the situation. However, I will leave screen caps of the rest of our conversation on screen. I will also admit that this was a conversation had prior to my decision to make the video, therefore I do get a little heated and a little personal in how I respond to him, and that was not very professional of me, and I do apologize for that. However, Rediradical has exhibited behavior that I find incredibly disturbing and well worth looking at, including but not limited to transphobic remarks and refusing to refer to Kez by their pronouns, refusing to stop dead-naming Kez by making a hashtag that uses Kez's dead name in order to, post under that hashtag about all the ways that Kez is wrong and horrible, as well as being responsible for the spread and usage of the sexual DM screen caps of Kez's, the ones that were incredibly private and made during a hypersexual episode. On screen as I'm speaking are different screen caps of these very things happening. This is also including posting art made by someone that is making fun of Kez for having those hypersexual episodes. The fact of the matter is, Rediradical is exhibiting horrific behaviors towards Kez, and Mari, if she truly does want people to stop harassing anyone involved in this, should have spoken out against Red in her video, and I'm going to ask that she do so now, because if she doesn't, she is condoning this sort of behavior. And this goes for all of Rediradical's little posse too. For example, Jersey Gardens and Gail Nees, both of whom have continuously interacted with Rediradical and made posts in a similar vein to Rediradical, though not as obsessively as he has. I don't think any of this should have been started. Truthfully, if anyone's to blame for this, I'd honestly have to say Minty. Minty is the one who told Mari to make a document that ended up sparking drama that would continue for months, when this could have easily been ignored and both parties could have moved on. None of this should have happened. No callout should have ever been made. And in my honest opinion, Mari should have just ignored Kez and tried to move on, including but not limited to telling her friends to stop showing her Kez's tweets that were made behind her back. Honestly, even though Kez was immature for making such tweets and continuing drama behind Mari's back, including not stopping a friend who made a Mari Receipts account, Kez is 14 and Mari is an adult, and while being a kid does not excuse Kez's bad actions in this, I will say that as an adult, Mari could have easily just been the bigger person and moved on. The Mari Receipts account had barely anything on her, and honestly, it wouldn't have been that hard to move on to a different community. But the fact of the matter is, friends continued to show Mari tweets made about her that were made behind her back without the intent of her ever seeing them, and it led to something like this. Something very big that got out of control and has hurt both parties significantly more than they ever should have been hurt by this. In my opinion, I still think that Kez is the bigger victim, considering that Kez was put under fire for just being an immature shitter on Twitter, and honestly, that's not too big of a crime, especially when you're a child with unrestrained ability to hang out on the internet. Obviously, Kez should grow and learn from this, but Kez has already stated that they're trying, and they've been trying. Meanwhile, Mari has continued to act as if she is the only victim in this. Mari even says that it's bad that Kez won't accept her apology, but if it was a sincere apology, she wouldn't have made it with the immediate expectation of forgiveness. A sincere apology is made with the forethought and knowledge that it might not be accepted. And I'm not saying that Kez is blameless either. When Mari tried to rebrand and move on, I think that Kez probably shouldn't have kept hunting down the new accounts. Kez should have let themselves move on, but I understand that they were very affected by the drama and probably weren't thinking straight at the time. Still, I ultimately think the best solution to this would be for both parties to just move on, for Mari to stop dragging this up and acting as if Kez is some horrible bad guy that just followed her at every turn. She only started stalking you, quote-unquote, after you made 500 pages of callout that put thousands of people back on them. It's just an awful back and forth, and as an adult, you need to take responsibility for the damage you've caused and move on. And that doesn't necessarily mean to let go of the damage that the situation has caused you. It's okay to be traumatized. You can shit talk to your friends in private about how much you don't like Kez, but to bring that beef to the public on Twitter as an adult, it's just not healthy. You shouldn't put it in a place where Kez can see it, and honestly, I think Kez should do the same. Keep all the shit talking in private, but even if they put it on public Twitter, you guys can just block each other so you won't have to see it, and you can keep your friends from showing it to you also. But that's just my personal opinion, and you guys aren't here for opinion. You guys are here for the facts, and I've laid them down. Discussion of all the points made about either side, a brief mention of every important part of this entire drama's timeline, some links to some discussions or at least walkthroughs of the original document, everything you might need to know about this, and leave it behind you as well. I don't intend to make a part 2 to this, by the way. If Mari or Kez or anyone else responds to this, I do not give a shit. Any and all addendums I make to this will be made in a pinned comment or in the description below. So when you're done watching, if you want to make sure you have all the information, check those. But otherwise, I'm not making a part 2. This is not going to become a series, and I am not going to become a serious drama YouTuber over this shit. I just wanted to make something that would help people understand the situation and hear both sides of the argument as best as I could present them. Thank you very much for your time. I hope this has all made sense, and if you have any further questions, I am also, again, going to be linking some shit in the description and adding potential extra information there. So, yeah. This has been incredibly draining as an outsider, so I can't even imagine how draining it's been for both of the people involved, and if you want to start shit over this drama, I highly suggest you don't. Just leave it be. You now understand what's going on, you understand the damage that's been caused to the people involved. Let's do our best as courteous people on the internet to mitigate the damage further. Thank you.